Hi guys, how's it going? It's Meg, and today we're going to be talking about some Walking Dead predictions for the mid-season premiere in February of The Walking Dead Season 4. But first, this is what's been keeping my mind off of Season 4, The Walking Dead Season 2. I got it from the library recently. That's what I've been watching. I'm not quite done with it because I've been watching a couple other things. Have you guys seen the Mortal Instruments movie, City of Bones? I think it's like the first one. It's about a book series. It was actually really good. I watched that last night. And then I just got this yesterday from the library. I'm really excited. It's The Walking Dead Compendium 1. It goes all the way up to the final scene where they leave the prison. And look. I don't know if I'm supposed to show you this to you guys, but look. Can you see that? That is Rick and Carl leaving the prison. That's like straight from the comics. Isn't that awesome? So these two things have been keeping me busy. How have you guys been keeping your mind off of The Walking Dead not being on? It's Sunday. So today we're going to talk about predictions. Yay! So I thought I would just start out with a few, and then I've got so many more weeks until it actually premieres, so we have lots to talk about. So I'm just going to talk about a few today. So Robert Kirkman said that the next episode is going to be the most like the comics yet. So it's going to be like pretty much straight from the comics. We've seen a couple previews. One preview with a little bit, sorry, I have hair in my mouth. One preview with a brief glimpse of like all of the different groups of people, which was really awesome. We'll talk about that in a second. And then there's another short preview, I think it's like less than a minute long, of Rick and Carl leading a couple walkers away from the house that he and Rick are staying in, and also Rick being unconscious. So let's start there. When they left the prison, we had a bunch of different groups of our favorite people all split up, and nobody knows where everybody's going, and we don't know how they're going to get back together. So the first group that I'm going to talk about is Rick and Carl, of course. They seem to be the most prominent. I'm thinking that the first episode is just going to pick up straight with them. Who knows if we'll even see the other group, the other groups. But, so it's going to be Rick and Carl. They're going to be holed up in a house somewhere. And Rick was shot in the leg, and he is going to pass out and be unconscious from his injuries. And we see Carl having to really hold his own and, you know, survive while his dad's passed out. We don't know how long his dad's going to be passed out. I feel like in the comics it was maybe a couple days. But we don't know how it'll be in the show. And, I can't remember exactly what happens in the comics, but I think that Michonne meets up with them. Anyways, that is my prediction, is that Michonne is going to meet up with Rick and Carl either at the house or somewhere, and that's how she's going to get back with the group. Now, the big thing in the comics was that they all met back up at the farmhouse eventually. And I guess my prediction for that is if anyone makes it back to the farmhouse first, I think it's going to be Daryl and Beth. I think that, I don't know, I think that they'll go back there mainly because that seems like the most likely place where everyone will go to meet up. I think that Beth will want to go there because, you know, her dad just died. She doesn't know if Maggie is alive or not. And the rest of her family's gone, you know, and she just has Daryl there with her. And I think the first thought might be, you know, if anybody survived the prison, that they would go back to the farmhouse. So I'd like to see that happen. I know we're going to learn a lot about Beryl. Oh my gosh. These are my shipping names. No, I just cannot talk right now. Daryl and Beth. I think we're going to learn a lot about Daryl and some of his history, and maybe we'll get to see them get a lot closer. If they do go to the farmhouse, you know, in the preview where there's a little clip of everyone and you see Beth walking and behind her is a fire, like a building on fire, I am starting to wonder if maybe they do go back to the farm and it upsets her so much, you know, thinking Maggie's dead, knowing her dad is dead, that maybe they just burn the farmhouse down when they discover that nobody else arrived there. Maybe they just burn it down so no one else can take place there, and it kind of just ends it for them. It helps her get some closure. I'm not sure. What do you guys think about that? What are your thoughts on the clip where she's walking away from a fire? What do you think that is? Let me know. Okay, on to the next point. So we also have the group of Maggie, Bob, and Sasha. Now, since we're still talking about the farmhouse, there's a possibility that Maggie, since she's still alive, is going to go back to the farmhouse as well. And she would bring Sasha and Bob there because obviously they never were at the farmhouse, so they don't know. I'm guessing the first place that she's going to want to check to see if Glenn survived and her sister Beth would be to go back to the farmhouse. It just, again, seems like the most likely thing. Now, whether or not they make it back first or after the farmhouse is burned down, if that actually is what happens, I can see that being pretty devastating for Maggie, going back and seeing the farmhouse burnt down and not seeing her sister or anybody there. But there is a chance that that could happen. It just seems like, you know, when in the end of season 2, when the barn burned down and they left the farm and they fled, I don't think they talked about it before, but they all met up on the highway where Sophia was lost. And that was kind of like the first place they would think of that everyone else would go to, you know, so they met up in the most likely place and they found their group. So to me, it just kind of makes sense that they would at least attempt to go back to the farm. We know that it's not that far away from the prison, at least in the comics it's not, because they easily go there in like a day or something like that, I think. I can't remember. So there's Maggie, Sasha, and Bob. We know that Sasha and Bob have the tiniest little connection there that was starting to build, and now they're thrown in a situation together with Maggie. And I'm curious to know whether or not Bob will actually be a man and protect the woman. It seems like he doesn't necessarily have good aim. He seems kind of like a guy who hasn't had much experience in the walker world, even though he has. We know he's been with 2 other groups. He just didn't really seem that competent, and maybe because he has issues. I think there's a lot of speculation on what his issues actually are, but I don't know that he will really stand up and protect the girls. We know that Maggie and Sasha have no problem leading the group, so I'm guessing that Bob is going to probably take a step back and they're going to just lead the way to wherever they end up. So then that brings me to Tyrese. Tyrese is either alone or with the children. I know everyone says that they believe he's with the children. My personal opinion is that we just don't know for sure, because in that last scene, the very last moment we saw Tyrese was him running away, and everybody's speculating that he's carrying Judith, but we don't know for sure. And there were no kids running with him. So either the kids were already safe or something happened that the kids didn't make it out. We don't know. And in the previews for season 4, we only see him alone. We don't see him with any children. So Tyrese also does not know where the farmhouse is. He had nothing to do with Herschel's farm, so there's no possible way he could make it back there unless they spoke about it at some point that was not put in the television show, which I doubt. So he's either got these children or he's by himself. We don't know, but he's got to find somewhere to go. And in my last video, I posted on Twitter a picture that shows him and Carol filming together down by the railroad tracks. I also posted another picture about a railway car with a banner on it that had the sanctuary sign and the quote from the radio. So that leads me to believe that this sanctuary place is probably where the entire group is going to end up at the end of the season. I think it's probably going to take the entire rest of the season for them to get there. But I think that that's where they're going to end up. We also saw another picture of Daryl filming in the exact same area with the railroad. So we know he's also going to be there. We don't see Beth, so we don't know what happens with her. And we don't necessarily see any of the other characters there. We also don't see Daryl with Carol and Tyrese. So back to Tyrese though, there's a lot of speculation. That was kind of the #1 theory, was that he was going to eventually meet up with Carol, and he was never told what Carol did, if she actually did it. And if he has the kids, then maybe one of the kids was the one who did it. So we definitely know that's going to be a story arc here. we're really looking forward to seeing how Tyrese reacts when he eventually finds out what we think Carol did. Let's see, what else? I have my papers attached right below the camera here so I can read it. Robert Kirkman did come out and say there's not going to be any Negan in the end of season 4, so we're just done talking about that. I kind of thought that was right. If you guys don't know, Negan is a huge, kind of like the governor, but like 20 times worse than the governor in the comics, and he's a really bad guy, and he makes the governor look like an angel, pretty much. So there's been a lot of speculation on whether or not he was going to pop up in season 4, and honestly, I thought that it was too soon. I had a feeling he wasn't going to, and now Robert Kirkman has confirmed that he will not be in season 4. So I'm guessing that we're probably not going to see much more damage to the group. It's really going to be about getting to know the group on a deeper level, finally finding out some of their history, like Michonne's history and losing her children, Daryl and Beth, and, you know, probably a lot more about Bob, because we don't really know anything about him except that he was an alcoholic and he's struggling with it. And then we see Rick and Carl are going to have a lot to work through, thinking Judith is dead. So those are sort of my predictions for today. There's lots more to talk about, and there will be lots more in the upcoming weeks, and hopefully we get another preview at some point, maybe in January, for the next for the premiere in February. Wouldn't that be pretty cool to see something else? I'm really wanting to see a new promo so that we have some more stuff to talk about. Anyways, that's it for now. I'm rambling. Is this lighting terrible? I'm trying out some new lamps and moving lamps around and stuff, and tell me if it's awful. I just feel like a lot of my other videos were really dark, so at least it's brighter, if not making me look ugly. Okay, that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Christmas is in 2 days. Are you guys getting any Walking Dead presents for Christmas? What is on your Christmas list? Let me know. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Very Merry Christmas, and I will see you next week. If this is the first time you're watching my videos, please subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it. And you can find me on Twitter at Meg_Stansfield. Pretty much all I ever talk about is The Walking Dead. So if you love The Walking Dead, yay! Find me on there. I will see you next week. Bye!